If you want to improve your win rate, specifically at the mid to low stakes levels of Live No Limit, I have this app that I want to recommend to you. It was built by a couple of guys in my CRUSHLIVE poker community. It is called Fastroll, and it's an app that will allow you to easily log all of your live hands into your phone. There's many great features with the app. You can filter by different situations, allowing you to find leaks. You can export all of your hand histories and share them with friends, other players, coaches. And in general, it makes session reviewing very, very easy. This is the best app that's come my way for this type of thing. I've actually had many people approach me with hand note apps, and I really haven't been impressed by any of them. If you use the code CRUSHLIVE, you can get the first month for free off of their yearly subscription. Just click on the link down below. We're actually going to go to the first caller here, who is going to be calling us from Singapore, which is actually a 12-hour, they're 12 hours ahead of East Coast time. So I went back and forth with this guy and I said, well, are you going to be up at 3 in the morning? And he said, yeah, I'll be playing at the end of my session if you can get me first on. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go here to Alex from Singapore. Hello, Alex. You are up first.
Hey, Bart, long-time listener, first-time caller, so appreciate having me on.
How's it going? So you live in Singapore, is that right?
Yeah, I'm based in Australia, but I travel in and out of Singapore for work all the time. And it's been good timing recently because live poker just came back. So
What do you mean it just came back?
there was no live poker in casinos for many years there. And maybe 10, 11 months ago, it just came back to casinos in Singapore.
You mean like, did they shut it down during COVID or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Many years ago, but they just haven't had a poker room inside the casino for quite a while.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about this hand in Singapore dollars, which is what, 80 cents or something? 80% of USD? We'll put it up in regular Singapore dollars. I don't know if Ryan will adjust it or not, but it'll just make it easier. So what's the game size that you're playing in here?
Yeah, this is a 10-20 optional 40 game.
Okay, so 10-20. And how deep are you? Is it uncapped or?
I think it's 800 to 4K buy-in.
Oh, okay. 800 to 4K buy-in. Okay, yep.
And it's the smallest game they run, actually. The most popular game is 2550.
That's interesting. I mean, it's kind of the similar thing in Macau when you go to the Wynn. I spent a lot of time there. The smallest game that they had was like the equivalent of, I think it was 510, no limit. I mean, you could find them in some smaller games, but it was mostly just all big games. And how deep are you for this hand?
About 3,500 effective.
All right, so 3,500 at 1020, 800 to 4K effective. All right, start us off here.
Sure. So I came in with a small blind. It's actually my first hand at this table. I had already won some money elsewhere. And I guess I had the option to buy the button, they call it, where I can come in at the small blind.
Right.
I'm not sure if you recommend that generally, but I had to post the big blind and put the small blind in the middle as dead money.
Yeah, that's a common thing in the US. I mean, it's just one blind. Usually when you buy the button, it's just one blind. So you're like the big blind, but you're posting dead. Now, you can also, I suppose, post behind the button too. So if you wait one hand, or I guess, yeah, you would wait one hand, you don't get the button. If you're new, you don't have to post the small blind. And then there are some games like in limit games where you you can actually post in between, where as a new player, we do this a lot in Omaha 8, if you can come in on the small blind and basically you're posting the big blind, and then you post in between, then small blind, then big blind to your left, and then the button passes you. But I mean, it is what, yeah, sure, you can buy the button, or I don't know if the button is worth the extra small blind. Sometimes I come behind, sometimes I buy the button. It's all good.
Fair.
Yeah. So Hero buys the button. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
UTG +1 opens to 60.
All right. So +1 is 60.
And the hijack calls.
So is there a straddle or in this game?
It's not mandatory. Some hands people straddle, some hands they don't. There was no straddle in this hand.
Okay. So he opens to, I guess that makes sense, just at 1020. So +1 to 60. Okay.
Yeah. Hijack calls.
Okay. Hijack calls. Uh-huh.
And then I'm in the small blind with Jack of Spades, Jack of Diamonds.
Jack of Spades, Jack of Diamonds. Okay.
And I 3-bet it to 250.
All right. So 60 call, you 3-bet to 250, which is just over 4x. If you did 4x plus the dead call, it would be about 300. I tend to go a little bit more in this spot because you're out of position. You do have a dead caller there too. Everybody's 3,500. So You can make a case here for going larger, but you 3-bet to 250, okay?
Yep. UTG +1, the cutoff call.
They both call. All right, so +1 and hijack calls. I don't know the skill level in terms of, and I'm going to call the pot like 760, I would say. I don't know the skill level of these opponents. It's funny because in Macau, there's a lot of Australian and Euro pros. Like, you barely have anybody who's local at all. So they were really, really tough games. I don't know how that is here, but the tougher the game, it's funny that you say this is the smallest the game. The tougher the game, the more probably checking from out of position on the flop multi-way, actually, that you're going to have to do with respect to the hijacks double flat. Now, in a typical like 2-5 US game, I really think that goes out the window. People check far, far too often. It's more a bet for value. So I don't know what the deal is with the strength of the opponents here or what.
Yeah, it's not as good as a Macau table where you might have half pros and then a couple of recreational players.
Uh-huh.
I'd say it's 7 out of 8 recreational, maybe 1 good reg on a normal table.
Oh, so it's a good, you mean it's not as tough as Macau. It's a good game, is what you mean.
It's a good game.
Got it.
Well, I mean, apart from the rake, it's a good game.
Yes.
The rake's capped at 3 big blinds, so it's capped at 60 in this game.
Wow.
The 25-50, it's capped at 150. So it's
And is it 10%? So the small pots, they take 10%?
5%.
5%. Okay. So in a small pot, like of 200, it's only $10. I haven't really done the math on that, but it's interesting. I've seen that structure. Like in Boston, we've got 10% up to 10 at 2.5, which means the 10's usually being taken. But if it's 5%, you don't have as much taken out of the small pots. But anyways, we're three ways, 760 to the flop. Okay.
Yeah. So the flops, 8 of hearts, 6 of hearts, 2 of diamonds.
8 of hearts, 6 of hearts, 2 of diamonds.
Yep.
This is what I'm talking about here. Like, but I mean, if most of the table's recreational, I'm betting here a bunch. You need to bet here for protection. Because you don't have like aces, right? You've got jacks, so if it just gets checked through, you got random overcards. But if it was a really tough game, you would have a lot of checks here. Now, maybe not necessarily on this particular board, but if the hijack is double flatting with all pairs, and then also hijack, the hijack, and then +1, he really shouldn't have deuce here. You would see a reflection of checking, but against a bunch of wrecks, I'm doing more betting here. And that's straight out of small stakes exploit.
Yeah, I think the main villain, who's the +1, I can basically rule out queens plus or ace king because he didn't 4-bet.
Right.
And I think probably folds most low pockets, like 2s up to 5s, maybe.
And that would be reasonable, I think, with a guy behind as well.
Exactly. So I'm not too concerned with this flop unless someone's got maybe 8s or 6s. So I bet out for 600.
Wow, that's a big bet. Okay, so Hero bet 600 because normally you're going like 1/3-ish in multi-way pots. You'll see this. You'll see this type of reflection of sizing if it was heads up on a board like this, where if you think, like for example, if the hijack didn't call, I think you could make this type of sizing. And obviously it wouldn't be 600, but like 80% pot on this board heads up against +1, especially if you think he's 4-betting queen plus because of the guy behind him. Here, multi-way, it's a little bit on the large side. I just hate forcing out hands that might continue to somewhat smaller sizing. So you take a big bet, you bet 600.
That's true. The +1 calls and the hijack folds.
All right, so +1 calls, hijack folds. So 1200, it's like 1960. Again, we don't think he's got deuce here. Obviously, you're beating like a 9-9, 10-10 type of hand. He could be sandbagging a set. You've got 2 hearts out there, so they can be heart. You don't have a heart in your hand. Those are the types of holdings that we might see. I suppose he could have like a 9-10 suited type of holding. But again, with that guy behind him, 9-10 suited maybe with a backdoor. Guy behind him, he's supposed to defend tighter multi-way. But all right, so we're at 1960.
And the turn is a 7 of diamonds.
So the turn's the 7 of diamonds. So 9-10 comes in. 7-7 if he had it comes in. Okay.
So at this point, I'm still feeling pretty good about my hand. I put him mainly on any 2 sort of broadways or 8s, 9s, 10s. I don't think he has 8s if he didn't check raise. Most of these guys play pretty ABC.
You mean if he didn't raise the flop, right? Because you're first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, raise, yeah. So I'm feeling pretty confident at this point. So I bet 1,200 into it.
So Hero bets 1,200. I mean, it starts to get a little bit iffy here on the turn. I mean, obviously you can still get value here from 9s and 10s. By the way, too, again, I could still see betting more volume of hands if it were heads up, not multi-way on the flop, because if it were heads up, he's going to have some hands that he's not for betting that he probably continues on the flop, like sometimes even ace king. I don't even know if he can continue here with ace king with no backdoor things going on to your flop bet with the guy behind him. So now you're like, well, I'm trying to extract from 9s, 10s, 2 overcards and hearts, things like that. I would still probably size a little bit on the, I mean, all those hands are going to continue, but I would still probably size a little bit on the smaller side. Now, when you say that these guys are play their hand straight up, I assume then if he raises you, you're just going to fold, because I assume the raise is going to be, well, I mean, you've put in half your stack. I mean, after the 1200, you've got what, 1500 left in your stack, something like that? A little under that? Is that right?
Correct.
Because here's the thing. So if you go 12 and a call, it's 43. If he jams, the pot's going to be 58, 15 for you to call. So you're going to get like 4-1. So are you bet calling off here?
Probably, because I feel like this player type, especially in these games, they might ship it in with flush draws sometimes, not all the time. They'll probably lean towards just flat calling with diamonds or hearts on 2 overs. But if he ships it, I'll probably call, because it could be 9s, 10s with an up and down or gut shot or flush draw. The only hand I'd be really concerned about will be 7s. But I think most of his range I'd still be ahead of.
I mean, again, you're leaving like about a fourth. I mean, that the other thing too is, the other thing about this is that, like, if I even had a combo draw here and I was your opponent somehow, I don't even know if I would jam. I mean, I suppose it really depends. Like, you know, if you've got like a 15-out combo draw, you only need a sliver of fold equity if I'm your opponent. But it just seems like you've committed yourself. So there are times like on draws, like say he just has like hearts, like king, queen of hearts. It's kind of spewy to just jam king, queen of hearts here, because you only have 1500 left. I'd rather just take the pot odds of, okay, it's 1200 to call for 3100. The guy's got 1500 behind. I'm getting 2.5-1 in immediate price. Plus I could win another 1500, you know, behind. So it would be like 1200 to win like 46. I'm almost getting an immediate price on the flush draw. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I just wonder how often when you get jammed on, if you're good here. But it's a weird type of stack to pot ratio. So you bet 1200, and now what happens?
He just tank calls.
Call again.
Yeah.
So now we are at 4360. By the way, going to the turn, there was 1960 in there, and you had about 27. That's what I'm saying. There's about 1.5 SPRs kind of on the turn. It's a little odd. So 4360, you've got 1500 left. Okay.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm feeling relatively good about my hand, unless a Broadway card comes in or hearts. So the river's, thankfully, it's a brick. It's a 4 of spades.
4 of spades on the river. I mean, it puts a one-liner out there to a 5, right?
Yeah, I almost excluded 5s from his range. Just the fact that with the 3-bet pre-flop, the only way he might have a 5 is if he had like
ace-5 of hearts.
Exactly.
And it's because of the fact of your large bet on the flop plus a guy behind him. Like, he can't peel with ace-5 of diamonds to like 80% with a guy behind him. So specifically, it would have to be ace-5 of hearts. And I don't even know, well, we talked about him probably folding out. But to like, again, it's much different than if it were heads up on the flop, because he can't really even call a 5-5 with a guy behind him when you bet 600. So yeah, you're right. Like, this is almost an irrelevant card with this particular setup. If it were just heads up using different sizing, it would certainly be different. So now you're in a situation where you've got like a 1/3 of a pot size bet left. And your question is, should you jam here for value?
Well, here's the thing. You know, I at the time I felt incredibly good about my hand. Almost certain I was ahead, because queens and up will probably 4-bet pre. I think sets like 8s or 7s might raise on the turn when there's 2 flush draws out there and 3 to a straight.
Yeah.
So when he doesn't raise me on the turn or flop, and he didn't 4-bet me, I think he's probably got 9s, 10s, or broadways with a missed flush draw. And with that in mind, I was sort of thinking, Well, if I bet here, he can't call me with any of these holdings, probably. So I was just debating if I should bet and hope he side calls with nines or tens, or do I check and hope he barrels with a missed flush draw or two overs or maybe nines or tens.
Well, that's the real question here. That you get because of the stack to pot ratio. There's two things going on here. Number one, is he going to call with nines or tens when you go bet? It seems super strong, but the pot is so bloated, he's going to get 4-1. And then number two, because the pot is so bloated and you've shown so much strength, is he even going to bluff with the front door heart types of holdings? Like, does your hand look like it's going to get check called here? Because you did barrel like huge into two people and then bet again on turn. So this is the little dance that we play in live poker. Is it more, is the move to check and induce a bluff? Like I said, at small stakes, I'm not a huge fan of check calling rivers because in order to check call river, the guy either has to bluff or he has to value own himself with a hand that he would otherwise fold to a value bet from you. That's definitely not the case here. And he's not going to value own himself with 9, 9, 10, 10 that he might otherwise fold. But you also have a situation here where he still might have some sandbags. So it's pretty close. I don't know if I checked and he bet. I don't know if God. You know, it's funny I say that because on the turn, we were talking about you calling off on the turn for this pot odds. I just think that if you check and he bets all in, I don't know if you're gonna find so the question really becomes, is it a bet all in? Is it a check call? Or is it possibly a check fold? And the decision point would be, well, if he's going to bluff a bunch of hands, then probably the most efficient thing is to check call. And then you lose value from nines or tens. If he's not going to bluff a bunch of hands and he's like nitty, it's probably a check fold. And then if he's a station or he just gets curious because the pot is so bloated, I would just move all in. And that's probably how I would tend. I lean towards an all-in bet from you right now against somewhat of a weak player that you think would 4-bet queens plus. That's what I lean towards here, but I think it's a very player-dependent type of situation.
Yeah, no, that's a fair analysis. Yeah, I don't know. I was in the tank a bit thinking about it, but I ended up checking.
Okay.
And then he tanked for about 2 to 3 minutes. He cut out chips, put him back, cut out chips, put him back, and he ended up checking back.
Well, you got the best hand then, right?
Yeah, so I showed, and he mucked in, and he wouldn't tell me what he had.
So hero wins. I mean, it sounds to me like if he was cutting out, whatever, we can determine that. But I don't think he's cutting out chips thinking about something with 9, 9, or 10, 10. It doesn't sound like he has the 9, 9, or 10, 10, right?
Yeah, I think he might check that back quicker.
Yeah, of course.
Put this hand in was I missing a street of value here, or is it fair enough to maybe check and try and juice the bluff at these stakes?
Well, here's the thing. We don't want to be result-oriented. Is this empirical evidence of something? What I'm saying is that, okay, so he probably had a draw that missed, and he didn't bluff, okay?
Yes.
So you didn't get the check call equity of a bluff. And then if he ends up with nines or tens, he's just going to check behind. So that's what I had said before. Because the pot's so bloated up, I probably just jam. And it really has to do with the fact that he's going to 4-bet queen plus here pre. So, yeah. And I think he does probably I think he probably, for the same reasons we talked about, he probably jams like a bunch of made hands on turn too, because there's so many action killing cards, right? And it looks like you're going to call.
Yeah.
That's another thing. But I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.